It's been 22 hours since we shaped a couple of rounds, and it's convenient for me now, so let's turn them into some bread. I've got a cast iron Dutch oven. It's a Lodge 5.5 quart combo cooker. Great pot, I highly recommend it, link in the description. It's in the oven. It's been preheating at 450 for about 15 minutes. We're trying to get it ripping hot. We're gonna bake inside that pot. It's gonna trap steam. It's gonna improve our crust development. It's gonna make the dough expand and spring better. It's also the right size to go from 300 to a 600 gram batch of dough. So that's kind of its limits. Parchment paper, we're gonna need a disc of paper. If you don't know how to make a square into a circle, a little video in the description. And we need a razor blade. I use these Astra, the brand is Astra Razor Blades. It's a double-edged safety blade. I shave with them, so I always have them, but you can get about 100 of them for about $5 on Amazon. I like to go just the blade, but you can certainly buy a fancy handle and other attachments. And pastry brush, that's it, we're ready to go. All right, so here's our dough. It's expanded a little bit since last night when it went into the basket. This is gonna go pretty quick. I'm gonna pop it out, we're gonna score it, we're gonna load it, we're gonna go in the oven. So I'm gonna get my paper centered here. Little tap, comes right out. I'm gonna use this bottle brush to scrape out all the excess rice flour. Just tap it out in the grass. Let it dry out. You gotta take care of your baskets. Okay, rice flour, it brushes off easily, which is what is great about it. And it really does help to dry out the surface of our dough to make scoring easier. So I'm gonna dust off as much of this as I can. If you could leave some behind, just if you wanted a little bit more of that visual contrast in your finished loaf of the spiraling from the basket. And you'll see when we get to the one that is lined, that there is less indentation from the basket. All right, so before I score this, I'm gonna get my pot ready. So we score, we load, we go, it's a quick thing. All right, combo cooker. The great thing about a combo cooker is it has a skillet side, which is easy to load into. Way easier than trying to lift this up and put it into the deep side of the pot. I feel like I have a little bit of a low side, and you have to kind of consider well, where do I want to go? Do I want to score and make this one side, or do I want to cut through it? I don't think I do. I think I'm going to go this way. So if it does kind of spread, maybe this will kind of fill out a little bit. Rounds are best scored with kind of a symmetrical cut, and I'm going to bend the rules a little bit, but a straight cut, like a square, a cross, maybe 3 lines, just so it can move and expand and spring in the oven kind of equally. But I'm gonna go from 12 to 6 with my blade a little bit kicked off to the side so I can get kind of an undercut. Maybe it'll throw a little bit of an ear, just create a little more movement in the bread as it expands, as it's baking. So 12 to 6, a little bit of an undercut. And just, kind of a smooth, confident cut. I always miss a little bit when I first get into the dough. So, you just go back over it. And that's it. We're scored, we're ready. I'm just gonna release one little more spot right there. Easy loading with that as the bottom. And then the deep side as the top. Oh. Easy loading except when you get your towel stuck, right? Come here, towel. Jeez. Okay, 450. It was our preheating the oven temperature. It's also the temperature we're gonna bake at. We're not gonna check it. We're not gonna turn it. We're not gonna take a temperature. We are gonna go covered in the cast iron for the whole 45 minutes. And of course, after 18 to 23 minutes, it will be done expanding and the crust will be fully established. Now, I know it's common for bakers, some home bakers, to go for 30 minutes and then pop it out and then color it the rest of the way from there. You could do that, but I like to just leave it in there, get a little bit extra crust development. And I know that it's safe, it's happy, and it's not gonna burn. If you do take it out after 30 minutes, you're gonna have to try and go another 10 minutes in the oven to really finish cooking it. And it could be kind of a juggling act of not getting it too dark, especially if the heating element of your oven is on the bottom. You do risk getting too much color on the bottom of your bread. My heating element is an electric oven, is in the back, so I don't have to deal with that problem. Certainly something to be aware of. I've had people learning to bake sourdough not realize that baking at the bottom of the oven is going to burn their bread. So, you know, something to be avoided. No internal temperature. I don't think there's a need to poke a hole in the crust. After about 45 minutes, it's going to be done. We don't need to try and get it to 205. It's going to get there. So I'll see you in 45 minutes. We can take a look at what I've got. It is going to go back in the oven to get the color that I like. Okay, my timer is right about to go off. Thank you, timer. Let's see what we've got. It's always a surprise. You never know what kind of response you're going to get from your score mark. Well, that's pretty cool. Kind of expanded, certainly expanded quite a bit. It's good oven spring. You can really see the texture of the spiraling from being in direct contact with the basket. Really nice 400-gram batch of bread. It's blonde. It's a little more blonde than I want. So I'm going to go back in the oven naked, and let's see, bottom color. It's not going to get any darker than that. That'll be about as dark as it gets. But I want more color on the crust. So that's going to stay in the oven at 450. This is hot. Let's go number 2. And this parchment paper, this is the third loaf of bread, batch of dough that I've applied it to, and I'm going to use it again. I usually get like 4 or 5 uses of a disc of parchment paper, and unless I'm making cinnamon or like chocolate bread. Okay, so we have our other guy that is wrapped in that thin 99-cent handkerchief bandana thing. And this one expanded just a little bit more. I know we weighed them and they're supposed to be the same size, but with the cloth, it kind of insulates it longer because we have that ambient temperature in the dough. Like it was at room temperature, so it takes a while for it to get cold all the way through to slow down the fermentation process. And this guy's at like, 23 hours or whatever. Paper. We could go longer. We could have left this for tomorrow, but we want to compare side by side, lined and not lined, so we can see the aesthetic. All right, so parchment paper, got my basket centered. Basket off, we don't need to clean this one. And there he is. Same thing though, we've got a little bit of excess rice flour on here, so I'm just gonna brush it off. If you were to use bread flour, you certainly would not get the bread flour off. You'd get to enjoy some flour in your crust. I say that with sarcasm. Nobody enjoys a floury crust on their finished product. That's kind of the magic of the rice flour. So I'm gonna decide again that this side looks kind of low, and maybe it's just kind of how it's settling onto the paper. Yeah, I'm gonna go this side and see if we can do the same thing. This is the magic of doing 2. You get double the practice of scoring, and if you're baking only once a week and you only make one batch of dough, one batch of bread, it's gonna take you a long time to get good at this. All right, 12 to 6, same kind of little curve, same little kicked off angle, using the corner of the blade. And as always, I always get just a little bit hung up on this 12 o'clock side, my 12 o'clock. That's it, we're good to go. This guy's going in the oven. Everything's hot still. And we'll take a look. The other one should take, a couple minutes to get to my desired color. But, if you want to set a timer, could be a good idea. It'd be so sad to burn your bread after all this work, multi-day project and all. It just fit just right. Okay, timer, 45 minutes, right? Same as the first one. repeat. And I will, let's see, what will I do? In 45 minutes, you'll see that guy come out and we'll uncover him and we'll reveal what kind of oven spring and expansion and if we get some kind of ear. The other one will be out after it gets to the color that I want. And I'll catch up with you then. Oh, why not, right? You want to see him fresh out of the oven? Me too. So let's take a look. So it's only been like about 2.5 minutes since I last turned the camera off. Here's our first batch of bread. It is not dough at all anymore. It is bread. So there's our guy. Looks really cool. This is a really pretty loaf of bread. I'm happy with that. We've got kind of a nice centered, kind of ear that's popped up. Yeah, you can see all the texturing in him. I think he looks cool this way. But you're the chef. You can go lined or unlined, and you'll see what the other one looks like. So 45 minutes. The other one will come out. Okay, number 2 is about to go off with the timer here. So let's take a look, see what we've got. It's been 45 minutes. Okay, it's always a surprise. How did we do on our scoring? Are they the same? Are they different? How different are they? This is more of what I would expect as far as how it's expanded and kind of separated and kind of sprung open. The ear is kind of a bonus. It's kind of cool when you get them, but this guy didn't really kind of lift up the same. Kind of went the other way. You can see already spirals. It's very subtle, hardly able to see them kind of spirals on this one. I'm going to toast this up. I'm going to get it the color that I want it to be, and then after these are cooled, we'll cut one open, just one, because I don't need 2 loaves of bread, so I will give one away. So I am popular and people like me, because people love to receive fresh baked sourdough bread. It is the ultimate gift. It's always appreciated. Don't share starter with people, just make bread and then give that away. And always make 2. It's a good excuse to make 2. I haven't cut into this one, and I'm not going to. I want it to cool for 2 hours. Yes, 2 hours. You can get away with 1, but if you cut into it fresh out of the oven, there's a ton of steam trapped inside the interior of the bread. And if you cut open the bread, within the first hour that it comes out of the oven, all that steam is going to escape, and your bread is going to completely dry out. And all of your hard work that went into this project is completely wasted. So set a timer if you have to. An hour minimum, 2 is better. It's still going to be, a little bit warm inside, so you're going to have fresh baked bread experience. But it's also going to not destroy your bread. The longer you can wait, the better. We'll probably cut this one open because it's been resting longer, and I'll give the other one away. So after that one's colored and cooled, we'll cut one open and take a look at the crumb. All right, here we are. These guys have been cooling off for this one about an hour and 20 minutes. And this one's been cooling off for over 2 hours. So I'm going to cut this one because it's ready. I'll give this one away. This is a really nice loaf of bread. Nice and round and full. Just kind of a classic country style round. As far as the texturing goes, pretty similar. I normally expect to see a little bit less of the texturing with the bandana, but this actually has some of that aesthetic to it. You could, of course, use a thicker, like a, what's it called? A cloth dinner napkin would make it so you have even less of the texturing. Anyway, what am I doing? I'm giving this one away. We're going to cut this one in half just to take a look at the crumb, the interior texture. Bread knife. It's a serrated tool. It's a saw. So you use a sawing motion. When you go through it, let the blade do the work. Light pressure. Don't squish your bread. Just be gentle. Let the knife do its job. All right, just a straight across cross-section type cut. When you cut sourdough bread like this, it should be messy. This is a 14-inch knife, which makes it real easy to get across, a big round like this. All right, our crumb. It is very soft, and I'm not going to be one of those crazy people that squish their bread just to show you how squishy it is, but it is soft and fluffy. Nice crispy crust. It smells great. It's still It's still warm to the touch. It's not completely cool, and it's been cooling for, you know, over 2 hours. Now this, since I cut it in half, I'm not gonna really make sandwiches with this. I think tonight I'm grilling some steaks. So I'm gonna turn this into some slices. I'll just go across, you know, maybe finger width slices, and then I'll keep them together, sheet tray, parchment paper, 375 until it gets a little darker and it's warmed through, and then just bring it to the table. So I have 2 beautiful loaves of sourdough rounds, and I'm gonna give this one away. Always make 2. It's great practice, and it is always a very well appreciated gift.